I peeked into the kitchen and saw Emily humming, her hair tied back, apron on, stirring something that smelled way too good for a Tuesday. "Hey, babe," I said, leaning against the doorframe. "Need help with that?" She turned and grinned, the kind of smile that made me forget every worry. "Nope. You just keep being cute, Alex. That's hard work enough." I chuckled. "You really know how to flatter me." Jason burst in, holding a bag of chips like he owned the place. "Flattery, huh? Typical Alex," he teased, smirking. "Still trying to impress her with cooking skills?" I roll my eyes. "Yeah, well, unlike you, I actually try to do something productive." He laughed, tossing the chips onto the counter. "Oh, come on. I contribute in my own way. Emotional support, for instance. I think Emily appreciates me more than you do sometimes." Emily snorted. "Jason, stop giving him ideas." "Alex, I appreciate you a lot. Okay? Don't worry about him." I smiled, but there was a flicker of unease. Jason always had this way of making me second-guess myself. Still, I waved it off. "Thanks, babe. I know you mean it." Jason leaned closer to Emily. "So, tonight's Valentine's, huh? Any secrets you're keeping from me? You're awfully quiet." Emily shook her head, brushing her hair behind her ear. "No secrets. Just excited for the evening." I felt my chest tighten. I had been planning this night for weeks. Dinner at our favorite little Italian place, then a weekend getaway I booked months ago. I wanted it perfect. I wanted her to feel loved. "Alex, did you remember the flowers?" Emily asked suddenly, eyes sparkling. "I did," I said proudly, pointing toward the vase I had hidden in the hallway. "Fresh roses. Red. Your favorite." Her smile made me forget Jason's teasing entirely. "You're impossible," she whispered, moving closer to hug me. Jason clapped me on the shoulder. "See? You're winning at life, bro, totally in love. Or at least you think you are." I laughed awkwardly, feeling a twinge of irritation. "Yeah, well, try planning a surprise like I did and then talk." Jason smirked, but didn't respond, just leaned against the counter, eyes flicking between us. Something about that look made me slightly uneasy, but I dismissed it. I didn't have time for paranoia tonight. So after dinner, I said, trying to keep the mood light, I booked us a little cabin in the mountains. Fireplace, wine, the whole cliché romantic thing. "Hope that's okay." Emily's hand found mine. "It's more than okay. You always do the sweetest things." I squeezed her hand back, letting myself melt into that moment. "I just want a night to be perfect." Jason's grin widened. "Perfect, huh? Guess that's my cue to exit before I ruin it. Don't let me steal the spotlight, Alex." I laughed again, forcing the tension out of my shoulders. "Go ahead. Just don't come back with any crazy ideas." He saluted mockingly. "Yes, sir. I shall leave you lovebirds to your romance." Emily watched him go, a small frown crossing her face. "He's playful, isn't he?" I shrugged, brushing it off. "Yeah, just Jason being Jason. You know him. Always teasing." She leaned against me. "I do know him, and I know you. That's why I love you." I smiled, holding her close, letting her words sink in. For a moment, everything felt right. Warm, secure like it always had. I thought about how much I trusted Jason, how much I loved Emily, how naive I was to think this trust was unbreakable. I checked my watch. I need to step out for a bit. Grab the dessert I ordered. "Don't eat anything in the meantime, okay?" Emily giggled. "I promise. No taste testing." Jason appeared in the hallway just as I was leaving. "Dessert, huh? Hope you didn't forget the chocolate. Can't have a Valentine's without chocolate." "Relax, man. I got it covered," I said, forcing a grin as I stepped out the door. Once outside, I breathed in the cool evening air. I was buzzing with anticipation. Tonight would be perfect. I wanted to see Emily's eyes light up, hear her laugh, feel her warmth. Nothing could ruin this night. Not Jason, not work, not anything. Little did I know, everything was about to change. I stepped into the house, juggling the dessert box in my hands, humming a little tune to myself. The door creaked, and I called out, "Emily? I'm back." No answer. I frowned. Funny, she usually yells at me for being loud. I walked down the hallway, toward the living room. My heart stopped before I even saw them. Emily, Jason, on the couch. Too close. Too intimate. I froze. My brain refused to process it. What is my voice broke? Jason jerked upright, looking guilty but trying to mask it with that cocky grin of his. Alex, I can explain. I laughed. A short, harsh laugh that came out wrong. Explain? Explain this. I gestured between them, my hands trembling. My own brother, Emily, my wife, on my couch like this. Emily pushed herself back, eyes wide. Alex, wait, it's not what it looks like. Not what it looks like. I repeated, voice rising. Then what the hell am I seeing? Because last I checked, this is exactly what it looks like. Jason ran a hand through his hair. Alex, come on. I mean, we didn't. It's complicated. Complicated? Complicated? I shouted, taking a step closer. I trusted you. I trusted both of you. And this is how you repay me? By destroying everything I believed in. Emily's voice quivered. Alex, please. I can. Can what? Tell me a lie that sounds better than the truth. Jason, you're my brother. How could you? I sank onto the arm of the couch, gripping the dessert box like it was a lifeline. How could you betray me like this? Jason leaned forward, his grin gone, replaced by something else. Fear, maybe guilt. Alex, nothing happened. I swear. You're overreacting. Nothing. I slammed the dessert box onto the floor. Nothing? Is that what you call whatever the hell I just saw? My hand shook. I trusted you, Jason. I let you into my life. Into my home. And this. Emily reached for me. Alex, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. Didn't mean for it to happen? Do you hear yourself? Didn't mean for it to happen. I laughed bitterly, covering my face with my hands. You don't just accidentally betray someone. This isn't a game. Jason's voice was quieter now. Alex, listen. It's not like that. We didn't. I mean, it's complicated. Complicated? You're using complicated as a shield. I shouted, standing abruptly, pacing. You two, my brother and my wife, are supposed to be the people I trust the most. And now, I don't know anything. I don't know what's real anymore. Emily's eyes filled with tears. I didn't plan this. I shook my head, backing away toward the hallway. I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me it's my fault. Don't tell me it was a mistake. Don't tell me anything. I don't want excuses. I don't want apologies. I need air. Jason tried to follow me. Alex, wait, please, man. I didn't mean for this. Stay away from me. I snapped, my chest heaving. I need to get out before I do something I'll regret. I ran out the door, the cold night air hitting me like a slap. My mind raced. Betrayal. Lies. Deception. How could they do this? How could Emily, my Emily, look at me every day and pretend nothing was wrong? How could Jason, my brother, the person I shared childhood secrets with, the person I trusted more than anyone, do this to me? I leaned against the car, hands on my knees, trying to breathe. Nothing helped. I felt hollow, empty, like my chest had been ripped open and someone was stepping on it. I kept seeing them. Jason with that stupid grin, Emily with those eyes that used to look at me with love. And now it was different. Poisoned. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hit something. I wanted to run until I forgot their faces. But I couldn't. They were burned into my mind permanently. Alex, a voice called from behind me. A neighbor, maybe. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I walked aimlessly, not caring where I went. My mind kept replaying the scene. Emily leaning in, Jason's hand, the betrayal cut deeper than I thought possible. I thought about going back in, yelling, demanding answers. But no, that would be pointless. I didn't want answers. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. Why did this happen? I whispered to myself, alone in the street. Why me? Why them? And I realized, as the cold night air burned my lungs, that nothing would ever be the same. Not Emily. Not Jason. Not me. I felt like I was falling into a void, spinning, no ground beneath my feet. The life I knew, the life I loved was gone. And in that moment, I swore I would never forgive them. I haven't slept properly in 3 nights. Every time I close my eyes, I see them, Emily, Jason, like a broken movie on repeat. Alex, you okay? Mark's voice pulls me from my desk at work. I force a smile. Yeah, fine. Just tired, that's all. He squints at me. Tired? Dude, you look like hell. Seriously, you need to talk to someone. I shrug, trying to hide the tremor in my hands. I'm fine. Really? Mark shakes his head. Fine? Alex, you found out about them. and now you're acting like nothing happened. That's not fine. I can't keep talking about it, Mark. I glance at my computer screen, trying to focus on numbers, but the spreadsheet blurs. Every time I think about it, I feel sick. He sits across from me, leaning in. I get it, man, but bottling it up won't help. You need a plan. Revenge? Confrontation? Moving on? Something. I look away, staring out the window. Revenge, maybe, but I don't even know where to start. I can't stop thinking about what they did. It's everywhere. Photos, songs, little jokes, everything reminds me of them. Mark frowns. Then maybe start by not letting it control you. Control what you can, man. Your life. Your choices. Not their stupidity. I wish it were that simple. My voice cracks. I keep seeing Emily smiling at me. And then, that image, it's ruined everything. He puts a hand on my shoulder. You'll get through it. One step at a time. Don't do anything rash. I nod, but inside, rage bubbles. I imagine confronting them, shouting, tearing down the walls of lies. But Mark's words echo. Don't do anything rash. Later, I walk home past the coffee shop where we used to sit. A couple laughs inside, sharing a croissant, holding hands. I imagine Emily and Jason there. My stomach twists. Why do they do this? I whisper to myself. Why me? Why now? I kick at a stone, watching it bounce down the empty sidewalk. I should hate them. I do hate them. But part of me misses her. I miss her laugh, the stupid jokes, the way she always knew what I was thinking. I sink onto the steps of my apartment, the night cold against my legs. Jason, my brother. My blood. How could you? I pound the railing with my fists. I trusted you more than anyone. And now you're poison. Inside, my apartment feels like a tomb. I stare at the walls, the pictures of better times, smiling, happy, naive. I touch one frame, tracing her face. I loved you, all of you, and you broke me. The phone rings. Mark again. Alex? You there? I pick it up, my voice flat. Yeah, I'm here. You sound empty. I am. I swallow hard. Empty. And angry. And I don't know what to do. He sighs. Then don't do anything yet. Give it time. Figure out your next move. Revenge. If that's what you want, it has to be smart. Not blind anger. I want to see them suffer. I admit quietly, more to myself than him. I want them to feel just a fraction of what I feel. Mark hesitates. Alex, that's dangerous. But I get it. I get it completely. I don't even know if I should confront them. I can't face Emily yet. Jason, I can't even look at him without seeing betrayal. But I can't just let this go. You won't, Mark says softly. Not now. Not ever, maybe. Just pace yourself. Don't ruin yourself in the process. I hang up, staring at the ceiling, heart hammering. My thoughts are tangled. Rage, grief, confusion, heartbreak. They fight inside me, a storm I can't escape. I remember last week, laughing at the kitchen table, Jason joking about his ridiculous puns, Emily smiling at me. That image clashes violently with the one I saw on Valentine's night. My stomach twists while rising. I mutter to myself, I'll find a way. I'll fix this. Or they'll pay. Somehow, the apartment feels suffocating. I pace, muttering fragments of plans, threats, questions. My mind is a battlefield. Sleep won't come. Food doesn't taste right. Every song on the radio, every text alert triggers memories. I sit on the floor, hugging my knees. I am broken, alone, and I don't know if I'll ever be the same. And yet, beneath the despair, a spark lingers. The thought of seeing them stumble, of Jason's arrogance crumbling, of Emily realizing what she lost. I whisper into the darkness. One day, it'll be different. One day, I won't hurt like this. One day, I'll be the one in control. For now, though, all I can do is sit here, broken, alone, replaying every moment, every smile, every betrayal, feeling the world collapse around me. I saw him across the room before anyone else. Jason, standing there with that stupid smirk like nothing had ever happened. My chest tightened. I gritted my teeth and walked toward him, every step heavy with anger I couldn't hide. Alex, Aunt Carol waved, oblivious to the tension. Over here. I nodded, but didn't slow down. Jason spotted me and froze for a split second. Then he recovered that arrogant grin. Hey, little brother, he said casually. How's it going? I stopped in front of him, voice low but sharp. Cut the act, Jason. Don't pretend you're innocent here. He laughed lightly. Whoa, okay, relax. What's with the tone? Did I miss something? You know exactly what you missed, I said, keeping my voice steady despite the rage bubbling inside me. Don't think I haven't replayed your betrayal 1,000 times in my head. Jason raised an eyebrow. Betrayal? Come on, Alex. You're overreacting. Seriously, overreacting, I shouted, drawing a few curious glances. My wife, my own brother, on my couch, together. And you. I paused, try to keep control. You expect me to believe nothing happened? Emily's name hung in the air. Jason's smirk faltered for the first time. Alex, it wasn't like that. Not like that. I took a step closer, lowering my voice just enough for him to feel it. Do you call leaning on my wife not like that? Do you call sitting so close it's obvious not like that? Don't lie to me, Jason. He laughed nervously, scratching the back of his neck. Okay, maybe. Look, it wasn't, exactly. I cut him off. Exactly what? Speak clearly, or don't speak at all. I want the truth, right here, right now. Jason swallowed. Alex, I didn't mean to hurt you. It just happened. Emily, I felt a jolt of pain at the hesitation. My mind raced. Emily's name, my trust, all of it, shredded by the weight of his words. Happened. You mean you couldn't control yourselves? You mean you did this on purpose? Is that what you're saying? He held up his hands. No, not on purpose. I swear, it was stupid, a mistake. You don't get to call it a mistake. Not after what I saw. My voice rose. I could feel eyes on us, family members freezing mid-conversation. You've destroyed everything I believed in. Jason's lips pressed into a thin line. Alex, calm down. You're making a scene. Calm down. I barked. You think I'm the one causing a scene? You think your lies don't reach further than you imagine? Aunt Carol came closer, frowning. Boys, what's going on? I turned to her, forcing my voice calm but cold. Nothing she needs to know. This is between me and him. Jason sneered. See? Everyone's overreacting. You're twisting things, Alex. It's not like you're imagining. No, I said slowly, the anger morphing into something sharper. I'm not imagining. I saw it. Every detail. And now, I know what kind of person you are. Both of you. His eyes narrowed, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of fear, or maybe respect. Alex, don't do this here. Don't what? I cut in, voice rising again. Don't expose you. Don't confront you for what you did. Too late. You've already exposed yourself. Don't play innocent with me. He hesitated, and a bead of sweat ran down his temple. Alex, look, we can talk about this. Talk. I laughed bitterly. There's nothing to talk about. You've said enough. Emily's name alone confirms it. And your hesitation just proves every suspicion I had. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Alex, I shook my head, stepping back. No, I'm done listening to lies. Done pretending you're the person I thought you were. I could feel my pulse in my ears, adrenaline rushing. The anger, the betrayal, the humiliation, it all surged. And yet, a strange clarity came with it. A seed of control, a hint of power I hadn't felt since that night. You know what, Jason? I said quietly, almost to myself. This isn't over. You've crossed the line, and now I'll see how far I can go without letting it destroy me. He paled, understanding, finally, that his arrogance had limits. Alex, don't. I'm leaving, I said, turning on my heel. I can't stay here. I can't let you look at me without remembering what you did. I walked out, head held high, heart hammering, burning with fury and something else, a dangerous anticipation. Revenge? Maybe. Justice? Possibly. But mostly a new determination. The night air hit me like a wall, cold and sharp. I breathed in deeply, letting the anger settle into a slow, simmering power. I would reclaim my life. I would expose them slowly, methodically. I would make sure every lie they told came crashing down. And Jason, he had no idea what was coming. I slammed the apartment door behind me, the sound echoing through the empty space like a judgment. Boxes were stacked neatly in the corner, but the silence felt heavier than any furniture could weigh. Alex, Mark's voice came through my phone. You okay? I'm fine, I said, though my voice betrayed the tight knot in my chest. Just moving on. You sound anything but fine. You sound angry, hurt, and lonely. I paced the living room. I am. All of it. I trusted them. And now it's gone. Emily, Jason, everyone I thought I could rely on. Mark sighed. I get it. But cutting them off completely? That's drastic, Alex. Drastic? I laughed bitterly. Mark, do you have any idea what they did? Any idea how much they shattered my life? I can't just keep pretending everything's okay. I'm not saying pretend, he said carefully. I'm saying don't let anger rule you. Revenge, it can consume you if you let it. I don't care if it consumes me, I said, gripping the edge of the kitchen counter. I need control. I need justice. I can't let them walk away clean. Not Emily, not Jason. Justice isn't the same as ruining yourself. Mark said, think, plan, don't act blindly. I exhaled slowly, trying to calm the storm inside me. You're right. I'm not going to act blindly. That's why I'm leaving the old apartment, leaving the past. I need a fresh start, a new place to think, to breathe. Mark was quiet for a moment. Okay, I understand that. But the revenge thing, Alex, be careful. You don't want to become the person you hate. I won't. I promise. But I can't just sit here and wait for them to ruin more lives. I have to watch, to see where they slip. Jason is arrogant. He'll make mistakes. You think you can use them? Mark said cautiously. I get it, I do. But don't let it spiral into obsession. I won't, I said firmly. I'm moving on, but I'm not powerless. Not anymore. I hung up and sank into the couch. The silence pressed down on me. Boxes waited. Papers, memories, reminders of what had been, what was taken. I packed methodically, keeping only the essentials. I tossed photos, letters, and gifts into a small box labeled burned. I thought about Emily, her laughter, her kisses, the way she used to look at me like I was the center of her world. That image flickered, then shattered in my mind like glass. I imagined her face, trying to hide guilt, and it fueled something cold and sharp inside me. I paused and stared at a framed picture of Jason, holding a trophy from high school. That smirk, that smug, cocky expression. I could see in my head, the way he'd laugh while pretending he was innocent. I smiled bitterly. He'd slip. He'd reveal something. He always did. By evening, the apartment was almost empty. I looked around, breathing in the faint smell of paint and dust, feeling a strange relief. Isolation wasn't comforting yet, but it was necessary. I needed space to think, space to plan. The next morning, I went for coffee. As I waited in line, I overheard a couple gossiping about someone at Jason's company. Did you hear about Jason Carter? Apparently, he screwed up the Thompson account. I froze, my pulse quickening. Mistake. A small crack. A clue. My mind raced with possibilities. I needed to watch, to gather evidence, to see how far his arrogance went. Back in the new apartment, I opened my laptop and began researching, quietly tracking his public moves, social media posts, mentions, and articles. Each slip, each careless comment, each bragging post. I cataloged mentally, storing for later. I called Mark again. You were right. I see the mistakes. Jason's careless. Emily, her circle isn't as strong as she thinks. This isn't blind luck. They're vulnerable. Good, Mark said. But remember, Alex, don't lose yourself. Planning is one thing. Obsession is another. You don't want to end up like them. Lying, manipulating, losing what's left of yourself. I know, I said, closing my laptop and leaning back. I won't, but I will make sure they can't just walk away. I'll watch. I'll wait. And when the time comes, they'll see that I'm not the naive fool they thought I was. Mark hesitated. Alex, promise me you'll stay grounded. Keep friends close. Don't isolate completely. I promise, I said, though part of me knew isolation was part of this process. I needed clarity, focus, a clean slate. I couldn't let them see me weak or distracted. I had to build myself up first. That night, I sat by the window, looking out at the city lights. The world moved on, oblivious to my pain, my plans, my anger. But I wasn't helpless anymore. I had control over one thing, myself, and eventually over them. I whispered into the darkness, "This isn't over. Not by a long shot. I'll rebuild, and I'll reclaim what's mine, and when the time comes, they'll regret underestimating me." For the first time since that night, a faint sense of power pulsed through me. I wasn't just the victim anymore. I was plotting, calculating, learning. They had given me fire, and I would use it. Boxes lay around me, empty apartment, empty heart, but a mind buzzing with strategy. Revenge wasn't about blind rage. It was about precision, and I would be precise. I lit a cigarette, watching the smoke curl into the air. The seed of revenge had been planted. Now it was growing quietly, patiently. And when the time came, Jason would slip, Emily would falter, and I would rise from the ashes of betrayal stronger than ever. I was hunched over my desk, staring at the same spreadsheet for the third time, when a soft voice interrupted my thoughts. "Excuse me, are you Alex?" I looked up and saw her, Sophie. New, with a bright smile that seemed oddly out of place in the gray hum of the office. "That's me," I said cautiously. "Can I help you?" "I'm Sophie," she said, extending her hand. "I just joined the team. Thought I should introduce myself. You must be everyone's veteran, right?" I shook her hand, noting the warmth. "Something like that. Welcome aboard. First week." "Yeah," she said, eyes scanning the office nervously. "It's a lot to take in. I noticed you seemed a little distant. Everything okay?" I froze. Distant? That was putting it mildly. My mind flashed to Emily and Jason, to the apartment I'd left behind, to the seed of revenge I was nurturing. And here was a stranger noticing me. I wanted to brush it off. "I'm fine," I muttered, avoiding eye contact. Sophie tilted her head. "You don't have to pretend with me. Sometimes work is easier when you don't carry everything alone." I raised an eyebrow. "And you think I'm carrying something heavy?" She smiled faintly. "I can tell. Maybe I'm wrong. But if you want someone to talk to, I'm here." I hesitated, the impulse to open up battle with caution. "It's complicated," I said finally. "Personal matters. Complicated stuff. Family, relationships," my voice faltered. "Things I trusted, things I lost." Her expression softened. "I get it. I've had my share of losses. But bottling it up doesn't help. Talking helps, even a little." I chuckled bitterly. "Talking to a stranger in a fluorescent office. Huh? That's a new one." "I may be a stranger, but I'm a good listener," she said. "You might be surprised how much relief a conversation can bring." I hesitated, then found myself nodding. Maybe you're right. I don't know where to start." "Start anywhere," she said gently. "Even small pieces help." I leaned back, letting the chair creak under me. I found out my wife and my brother, they were together. On Valentine's night, I walked in on them. I don't even know how to describe it. Sophie's eyes widened slightly, but she didn't recoil. "I'm so sorry, Alex. That's devastating. I can't imagine what that feels like." "Devastating doesn't cover it," I admitted. "Anger, betrayal, shame. It's like a storm inside me I can't control." She nodded slowly. "It's normal to feel that way, but it doesn't define you. You can rebuild, Alex. I've seen people survive worse." "Rebuild," I repeated almost bitterly. "I'm trying. I moved out, changed apartments, cut ties. I'm trying to take control. But it's hard. Every song, every picture, every little reminder, it hits me like a punch." Sophie leaned in slightly, voice soft. "You're human. You feel deeply. That's not weakness. That's strength, even if it doesn't feel like it right now." Her words struck me in a way I didn't expect. Someone believing in me, seeing me beyond the betrayal, beyond the shame. A strange warmth spread through my chest, cautious but real. I don't know how to do this," I admitted. "How to stop thinking about them, about what happened. I want control. I want to make sure they suffer, somehow. But I don't want to lose myself." Sophie's eyes softened. "Then start small, one step at a time. Focus on yourself first. Then everything else falls into place." I exhaled slowly. "I guess that makes sense. I'm tired of being weak. But I don't want revenge to turn me into someone I hate." "That's wise," she said. "Keep that balance. You can rise above without letting anger consume you. You'll find a way, Alex." I believe that. Her words lingered longer than I expected. I nodded. Thanks, Sophie. I appreciate that. More than I can say. She smiled, brushing her hair back. Anytime. I'm here if you need someone. Even if it's just lunch or a coffee. I allowed myself a small smile. Maybe I'll take you up on that. Coffee sounds manageable. She laughed softly. It's a start. That's all it takes. After she left, I sat back in my chair, staring at my computer screen, but not really seeing it. My thoughts wandered, not to Emily or Jason, not to betrayal, but to the possibility that maybe, just maybe, I could still connect. That maybe I could still feel, still trust in small ways. And yet, beneath that fragile hope, the ember of strategy remained. I'd watched Jason slip, Emily falter, and when the time came, they'd see that I wasn't the broken man they left behind. For now, though, Sophie had given me something rare, a small sense of grounding, a reminder that I wasn't entirely alone, that even in darkness, some light could reach me. I whispered to myself, step by step, control first, revenge later. But maybe I'm still alive in more ways than one. The office buzzed around me, indifferent to my turmoil, but for the first time in weeks, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Possibility. I sat in my new apartment, coffee in hand, scrolling through articles and social media feeds. Jason's face kept appearing, his overconfident posts, lavish dinners, bragging about investments I knew he couldn't afford. Every smug smile, every boastful caption was a small arrow aimed at my anger, but also an opportunity. I muttered to myself, arrogance is a gift if you know how to use it. Mark called just as I was piecing together my first little plan. Alex, you're obsessing. Careful, man. Revenge is a slow burn, not a wildfire. I know, I said, sipping my coffee. But starting small. Little cracks. Little mistakes. Jason's careless. Emily's shallow. Their world is built on fragile foundations, and I can see it. What do you mean by shallow? He asked cautiously. She only surrounds herself with people who nod and smile. No depth, no loyalty. Just appearances, I explained. And Jason, he's financially reckless. Overconfident, loves showing off, underestimates people. That arrogance is going to be his downfall. Mark sighed. Be smart, Alex. Don't let your anger make you sloppy. I'm being smart, I said, though inside, I felt the familiar rush of adrenaline. I'm not acting blindly anymore. I'm observing, cataloging, waiting for them to trip. The next morning, I walked past Jason's office building on my way to work. He was out front, boasting to a group of coworkers, waving a credit card like it was a scepter. I whispered to myself, too much show, too little sense. Inside, I started planting subtle hints. Emails mentioning overdue payments, casual comments about financial responsibility, little reminders I knew Jason would ignore, but others would notice. At lunch, I called Mark. Guess what? Jason already slipped today. A client overheard him exaggerating numbers. Everyone thinks he's competent. But that little slip? It's a seed. Mark chuckled softly. You're enjoying this a little too much, aren't you? I leaned back, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Maybe, but I'm also reclaiming power. I'm not helpless anymore. Later, I noticed Emily's social posts. Perfectly staged dinners, parties with friends who seemed more like background decoration than actual companions. I smiled, knowing the cracks were easier to see than she realized. She depends on appearances, I muttered. No substance. I can expose that without ever touching her directly. I began interacting subtly, leaving comments that seemed innocent, like playful observations about people she tagged in photos. Each post received small, but noticeable reactions from her circle. A friend questioned a detail she couldn't explain. Another missed a dinner she supposedly hosted. Little inconsistencies, tiny cracks. By midweek, Jason called me unexpectedly. Alex? Hey, how's it going? His voice was strained, though he tried to keep it casual. Fine, I said slowly. I noticed something interesting today. Heard you were talking numbers a little differently in the office. Curious how accurate those were. There was a pause. What? That was just casual. Nothing serious. I laughed softly. Casual, maybe, but when clients hear things differently than your reports, it can cause confusion. I thought you want to know. Yeah. Thanks, he said finally, voice tight. I'll keep that in mind. I hung up, a quiet thrill running through me. That small hint, public, indirect, enough to make him nervous. My first little victory. That evening, I checked Emily's online posts again. One of her friends commented about a dinner that never happened. Another questioned her fashion choices for a charity event she hadn't attended. I smiled, watching subtle social fractures grow without me needing to confront her. I whispered to myself, cracks. They're everywhere. I just have to widen them. Mark called again. You're turning into a strategist. Just don't let this consume you. Your mind's sharp, Alex. Keep it that way. I am, I said, feeling the truth in my words. I've never felt sharper. I've never felt more alive in a way. Mark hesitated. Alive? From revenge. I paused. Not just revenge. Control. Power. Clarity. For weeks, I was lost. Broken. Empty. Now, I'm calculating, watching, learning. I'm not letting them see me weak anymore. That gives me strength. You're treading a fine line, man, Mark warned. Don't cross it without thinking. I know, I said, staring at my reflection in the window. I'm thinking. Every step, every word, every post, every glance I let them see. It's part of the plan. I returned to the laptop, noting every detail. Jason's financial exaggerations, Emily's shallow social circle, small inconsistencies, little slips. Each was a thread I could pull, a domino waiting to fall. By nightfall, I had a rough mental map of their weaknesses. Small victories accumulated like coins in a jar. Jason worried without knowing why. Emily's friends whispered behind her back, questioning her authenticity. And me? I was gaining more than satisfaction. I was regaining confidence, reclaiming a sense of control I hadn't felt since that night. I took a deep breath. This is just the beginning, I whispered. Step by step. No mistakes. Precision. Patience. One day, they'll understand everything I've been through. One day, they'll see me rise from the ashes. I lit a cigarette, smoke curling in the dim light. I felt the first true sense of power in weeks. Not loud, not destructive, not yet. Subtle, calculated, strategic. And as I watched the city glow beyond my window, I allowed myself a quiet thought. I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm preparing. And when the time comes, they'll learn the cost of underestimating me. A small, cruel smile crossed my lips. The seeds of revenge had been planted. Carefully, deliberately. And I was finally ready to watch them grow. I stared at the dinner table, the silverware gleaming under the warm chandelier light, and waited. Emily arrived 15 minutes late, wearing that same effortless smile I used to love. My chest tightened, but I didn't let it show. I had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, and I wasn't going to crumble now. Alex, she began, voice soft. I held up a hand. Save it, Emily. Sit. We need to talk. She sat cautiously, eyes darting around, searching for any signs of anger, of weakness. I gave none. I know you're angry, she said carefully. I'm not angry, I replied slowly. Not in the way you think. What I feel is something stronger, something colder. Disappointment, betrayal, and clarity. Her lips parted. I never meant to. Stop, I said firmly. Don't start with excuses. I don't need to hear why you think it's forgivable. I need you to listen. She nodded, biting her lip. I am listening. Emily, I began, voice low but unwavering. Do you know what trust means? Not the casual kind. The deep kind. The kind where someone hands you their heart and life, believing you'll honor it. That's what I gave you. I know, she whispered. And you threw it away, I said. Not because you didn't care, but because you wanted what? Excitement? Validation? A cheap thrill with my brother. Her eyes welled up. It wasn't like that. Wasn't like that, I repeated, leaning forward slightly. Emily, you didn't just cheat on me. You made me believe in a world that didn't exist. You made me love someone who only existed in your version of convenience. And now you want me to feel sympathy. She flinched but didn't look away. I regret it. Every moment. I wish I could take it back. I exhaled slowly, letting her words settle. Regret is cheap when you've caused permanent damage. Do you understand that? Do you understand the nights I've spent replaying your betrayal? The trust one can never reclaim? I do, she whispered. I understand. I understand isn't enough. I interrupted, calm but cutting. I watched the person I loved most become a stranger. I watched my brother, my own blood, betray me. And you participated. You smiled at me the next day, pretending nothing happened. How do you justify that? She lowered her gaze, shame overtaking her. I don't know. I was weak. I made a mistake. A mistake. I repeated, my voice icy. You called dismantling someone's entire emotional world a mistake? A mistake is spilling coffee, forgetting an anniversary, not destroying a life. You don't get to downplay this. She flinched again, a tear slipping down her cheek. I know. I can't undo it. I leaned back, my expression unreadable. Exactly. You can't. And that's the point. Your actions have consequences, Emily. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for reconciliation. I'm simply clarifying the truth. So you remember what you did, what you lost, and what you will never have again. She choked out a sob. Alex, I don't, I said sharply, though my voice softened slightly. This isn't about you seeking comfort. This is about me reclaiming my perspective. I've spent weeks collecting pieces of myself after your betrayal. And now, I'm whole enough to speak clearly. Her eyes widened. Whole. Yes, I said. Whole. Not healed completely, not unscarred, but stronger than I was when you left me shattered. And part of that strength comes from understanding your hypocrisy. Do you know what hypocrisy is, Emily? She shook her head. It's claiming to value honesty, loyalty, and love while violating every one of those principles. You preach commitment while secretly undermining it. You smiled at me, told me I mattered, and all the while, you were dismantling my life piece by piece. She gasped softly, her hands trembling on the table. I didn't realize. You didn't realize? I said, my voice rising, though carefully measured. You didn't realize you were destroying the one person who would have done anything for you? That you were breaking someone who trusted you more than anyone else on earth. Tears rolled freely now. I know now. I see it. I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough, I said, almost whispering. It never will be. And that's why I'm calm right now. Because I have a moral ground. Because I understand my worth. And because I don't need you to validate it. She flinched at the finality in my voice. I thought you'd hate me forever. I don't hate you, I said slowly, letting the words sink. I feel something sharper than hate. I feel clarity. I feel authority over my own life again. And I feel free from your manipulations. I feel alive in a way I haven't felt in months. Her voice trembled. Alive. Yes, I said. Alive. Because I've stopped giving you power over me. You've lost that. Jason has lost that. And now, I can move forward without letting either of you dictate my emotions. She looked down, shame and regret clear in every line of her face. I don't deserve that kind of strength from you. You're right, I said, voice steady. You don't. But this isn't about what you deserve. It's about what I refuse to surrender. I refuse to surrender my dignity, my peace, or my clarity. And I refuse to let your betrayal define me anymore. She sat in silence, tears streaming, finally understanding the magnitude of what she'd done. And I felt the quiet satisfaction of moral and emotional authority. Not revenge, not triumph over her, just clarity, control, and catharsis. After a long pause, I stood, smoothing my shirt. I'm done here. Remember this conversation, Emily. Not for me, not for Jason, but for yourself. Remember what betrayal costs, what loyalty means, and what happens when you underestimate someone who loved you fully. She nodded weakly, words failing her. I could see the remorse etched in her posture, the weight of realization pressing down on her. I understand, she whispered finally. Good, I said, my voice softening. Because this is your lesson, and I've learned mine. Now we part ways. Permanently. I turned and walked out, leaving the soft glow of the chandelier behind me, leaving Emily to her regret, and stepping into the night with a sense of liberation I hadn't felt in months. For the first time, I knew what it felt like to be whole, to reclaim authority over my own life, to hold the moral and emotional high ground. And I walked away calm, piercingly clear, and unshakably strong. I watched from my apartment window, coffee in hand, as Jason stormed into his office building, face pale and tight with tension. The smugness I had grown to despise was gone. Arrogance had been replaced by fear, that subtle fear of exposure that I had been waiting for. My phone buzzed. It was Sophie. "Morning, Alex," she said, her voice calm, steady. "You sound reflective today. Everything okay?" "Better than okay," I said, staring at Jason's reflection in the glass of the office across the street. It's satisfying in a strange way. Karma is unfolding. He's finally seeing the consequences of carelessness. Sophie chuckled softly. "You always sound like that when you're observing someone unravel. Don't get lost in it, though. Revenge can be hollow if you forget yourself." "I know," I said slowly. "I'm not lost. I'm learning. Watching him fall doesn't fill the emptiness, but it reminds me that I'm no longer powerless. That's enough for now." She hesitated. "You're growing, Alex. I see it. You're cautious, yes, but you're also regaining trust in your own judgment." I smiled faintly. "I am. And that's why I can watch, detached, and still feel some satisfaction. Jason's financial mismanagement, his carelessness, it's all coming to light. Friends who once laughed with him are distancing themselves. Colleagues are whispering, clients questioning. The cracks are everywhere." "Good," she said softly. "Not just for him, but for you. Seeing the truth play out. It's validation, not just revenge." "Exactly," I said. "I'm not celebrating pain, Sophie. I'm witnessing justice in motion. It's instructive, humbling even. The price of betrayal is never just for the victim. It's for the betrayer too." Sophie's voice softened. "I'm glad you're thinking like this. You're not letting anger define you, Alex. You're gaining perspective." I nodded, staring at Jason entering a meeting room, flustered and muttering under his breath. "Perspective," I whispered. "Detached observation, not obsession. That's key. I've learned to balance awareness with restraint." Later, I called Mark. "You're enjoying this," he said immediately. I admitted. "But it's tempered. I don't want to lose myself in it." Watching Jason's arrogance crumble, seeing him humiliated, it's like a lesson in human flaws. And Emily's social circle is starting to notice inconsistencies too. She's vulnerable. He's vulnerable. And I'm learning to rebuild from this. Learning, not losing yourself. Mark corrected. "That's the difference. Keep it steady, Alex." "I am," I said. And Sophie, she helps. Her support is subtle, but real. She reminds me I'm not entirely alone, that I can still connect without being naive. Sophie called again in the evening. "Alex, you sound calm. Stronger. Are you noticing it too?" "I am," I said, smiling faintly. "Calm, yes. Stronger, emotionally, yes." Watching Jason's public mistakes, the ripple effect of his carelessness. It's teaching me patience, observation, control. And I'm learning I can protect myself emotionally while still seeing the consequences for them. "Good," she said. "That balance is important. You can be both compassionate and guarded." I leaned back in my chair, thinking about the irony. I used to think revenge would feel sweet, final. But it's not. It's hollow in one sense. Satisfaction comes, yes, but the emptiness remains if I let it consume me. The point isn't to break them completely. It's to reclaim myself. Sophie's voice was soft, thoughtful. "Exactly. That's wisdom, Alex. You're not just retaliating. You're evolving." I chuckled quietly. "Evolving, yes. That's exactly it. I'm transforming pain into strategy, betrayal into awareness, grief into measured action. And Sophie, she's part of that. Not as a replacement, not as a distraction, but as a grounding presence." She laughed softly. "Glad I can help without being overbearing." "You help more than you know," I said honestly. "You remind me there's life beyond revenge, beyond betrayal. There's trust to rebuild, cautiously, slowly, but it's possible. That's a gift I didn't expect." Sophie's voice softened. "I'm glad. And I'll be here, step by step. No pressure, just presence." I smiled, warmth spreading unexpectedly through my chest. Step by step, that's the way forward. Not rushing, not obsessing, not letting the past dictate everything. Just steady, careful, controlled. The next day, I saw Jason in the lobby again. He looked exhausted, pale, and tight-lipped. Clients had confronted him. Colleagues whispered. Even the receptionist gave him a glance that suggested skepticism. I felt a quiet, almost detached satisfaction. Not triumph, not gloating, just observation. I called Mark during lunch. He's unraveling faster than I thought. A client just questioned a major transaction. His arrogance, it's failing him. Good, Mark said. But remember, Alex, you're not celebrating his pain. You're learning from it. Don't cross that line. I know, I said. Observation and reflection, not obsession. That's the key. I felt the rage. I felt the betrayal. Now, I feel clarity. And that's more valuable than any fleeting thrill of revenge. Sophie texted me later. So your note about Jason. Are you okay? I replied, better than okay. Detached, aware, growing. This is a lesson for all of us. Him, me, everyone. Thanks for being there. Her reply was almost instant. Always. And Alex, I see you healing. Carefully, thoughtfully. Keep that up. I smiled at my phone, the warmth of her words settling in. It wasn't romantic, not yet, but it was a reminder that connection was possible. That life, despite betrayal, still held something real. That night, I sat by my window again, looking at the city lights. Jason had made another misstep. Emily's friends whispered. The consequences of their actions were unfolding naturally. I felt detached, observant, and aware. Not bitter, not consumed, just poised. I whispered to myself. The price of betrayal is never cheap, but the reward for maintaining control over myself is priceless. Karma moves. Consequences follow. And I am ready. I closed my eyes briefly, letting the quiet calm wash over me. Revenge had begun in small, calculated ways. But the true victory wasn't in their humiliation. It was in my reclaiming of self, of clarity, of moral and emotional authority. Sophie's support grounded me, yes. But the strength came from within. Watching Jason falter, watching Emily's social facade crumble, it was a confirmation that life corrected itself subtly if you allowed it. I lit a cigarette, inhaled slowly, and exhaled, smoke curling into the dark room. Karma was in motion. Justice, quiet but undeniable, was unfolding. And I was no longer the broken man I had been. Step by step, observation by observation, I was rising. I didn't expect her to call. Emily's name flashing on my phone stirred something. Anger, disbelief, a residual sting. I hesitated, then answered. Alex, she said, voice soft, almost pleading. I'm listening, I said, cautious, keeping my tone neutral. What do you want? I need to tell you the truth, she began. About everything. About Jason. About us. I stiffened. My hands gripped the edge of the table. Go on. She took a shaky breath. Jason, he wasn't honest with me either. I manipulated him, just as he manipulated me. I wanted to be protected, validated. I thought I could control him. I thought I could survive the mess without facing the consequences. I laughed bitterly. You manipulated him? So it wasn't just your betrayal of me? You were orchestrating deception on multiple fronts. Her voice wavered. Yes, I know it's awful. I know it doesn't excuse anything I did to you. But I can't keep hiding it. Wow, I said, letting the word hang. So the perfect triangle of deceit. My brother, my wife, all tangled in lies, and you somehow thought you'd emerge unscathed? I was foolish, she admitted. Weak. I didn't think. I didn't realize how much it would hurt you. I didn't intend for anyone to get crushed. Crushed. I repeated, my voice calm but cutting. Emily, do you understand the word you just used? Crushed. My trust, my life, my love, everything I had for you, it's crushed. And you think your weak intentions make a difference. Tears threatened in my eyes, but I blinked them back. I had rehearsed this. I would not give her the satisfaction of seeing me unravel again. I know, she whispered. I know, Alex. And I'm so sorry. I can't undo it. I can't change the past. I just needed you to know the truth. Truth, I repeated, letting it linger. So the truth is that you betrayed me and betrayed my brother, and now you want me to somehow forgive all of it because you feel remorse? I don't expect forgiveness, she said quickly. I just wanted honesty. For once. Honesty. I leaned back in my chair, voice quiet but piercing. After all the lies, after the smiles and the false reassurances, you call this honesty? Revealing a hidden layer of deception doesn't erase the damage. It doesn't repair the nights I cried, wondering where I went wrong, why the people I loved most turned against me. I understand, she said softly. I really do. And I don't blame you for hating me. I don't blame you for anything. I exhaled slowly, forcing my heart to steady. You know, Emily, the thing is, I've realized something important over the past months. Betrayal doesn't only hurt, it teaches. It forces clarity, self-respect, and boundaries. It forces you to decide what you will allow and what you will not. And I've decided I will no longer be trapped emotionally by you or Jason. Alex, her voice trembled. Please don't hate me completely. I don't hate you, I said, surprising even myself with the calm in my voice. I feel something sharper. Acceptance, clarity, understanding of human flaws. You and Jason are both deeply flawed. Your actions show it. Your motivations, selfish and cowardly, reveal the consequences of deception. And I am free from your control. I am free to choose what comes next for me. I never meant for it to go this far, she said. I thought we could hide, that it would fade. Fade, I repeated. Nothing of this fades, Emily. Lies don't fade, betrayal doesn't fade. They mark you. They define consequences. What you did is permanent. But my reaction, that is my choice. And I choose not to be emotionally trapped anymore. She fell silent, understanding, finally realizing the boundaries I had reconstructed. So, I said after a pause, voice calm but firm, this is where it ends. Not with hatred, not with revenge anymore, not with despair. It ends with clarity, acceptance, and the decision to rebuild myself. Not from what you did, but despite it. I wish I could change it, she whispered, almost inaudible. You can't, I said, gently but resolutely. And I won't allow myself to be anchored to your regrets. I've spent months reclaiming control over my emotions, my life, and my mind. And now, no more lingering shadows. I will not give you or Jason any more of my energy. I will move forward. A quiet sob came from her side. I'm so sorry, Alex. Truly. I know, I said. And your apologies, they're yours to carry. I carry nothing from them. I leave the burden where it belongs. I leave it with you and Jason, not with me. That is the difference now. I am no longer a victim. I am an observer. I am alive. I am free. Silence stretched across the line. For the first time in months, I felt a lightness that wasn't fleeting. Not satisfaction, not revenge, not bitterness, but freedom. Alex, she said, voice tentative. Yes. Do you think you can ever forgive me? I paused. Forgiveness was irrelevant. I had already transcended the emotional prison they had created. I don't need to forgive, Emily. Forgiveness would be for you. I don't owe it. I only need to protect my own peace. And that I will do. That I already have begun to do. She didn't respond immediately. I could hear the catch in her throat, the finality of understanding. Goodbye, Alex, she said finally, voice weak. Goodbye, Emily, I replied calmly. Take your lessons with you. And remember, trust, honesty, loyalty. Don't make the same mistakes twice. I hung up. Silence filled the room. Not the suffocating kind from weeks ago, but the calm, measured quiet of someone who had reclaimed authority over their life. I sank into the chair, letting my chest rise and fall with deliberate steadiness. Betrayal had been revealed in layers, each more hurtful than the last. But the final exposure, the truth about Emily manipulating Jason, had not broken me. It had clarified everything. I understood now the nature of deception, the consequences of lies, and the necessity of emotional boundaries. I whispered to myself, no more emotional traps. No more shadows from their actions. I am free. I am in control. I am whole enough to move forward. And in that quiet moment, I knew it was true. Betrayal could sting, revenge could satisfy, but emotional freedom, clarity, acceptance, and self-respect was worth far more than any fleeting triumph. I sat in the quiet of my new apartment, the hum of the city below barely touching the walls. The silence wasn't oppressive anymore, it was mine. I had claimed it. Weeks, months even, of betrayal, humiliation, and heartache had given way to something stronger: control, clarity, freedom. My phone buzzed. Sophie. "Hey, Alex," she said, her voice warm and steady. "Are you okay?" "I am," I replied, smiling faintly. "Better than I've been in a long time." "That's good to hear," she said softly. "You sound lighter." "I am lighter," I admitted. "I finally understand something important. Revenge isn't about making them suffer. It's about reclaiming myself. Every step I took, every observation, every small push, they all taught me something. But the real victory is walking away whole." Sophie's chuckle was quiet. "You sound like someone who's learned a lot and lived through it." "I have," I said, letting the memory settle. The night I discovered Emily with Jason, the betrayal, the collapse of everything I trusted, it felt like the end of me. I remembered the panic, the disbelief, the way my chest tightened so severely I thought I couldn't breathe. "Alex," Sophie's voice pulled me back. "I'm here," I said. "Sorry, lost in thought." "You're allowed," she said. "You've been through hell. You deserve some peace." I smiled faintly. I've realized peace isn't something they can give me, Emily or Jason. Peace is something I take for myself. It's in the decisions I make, the boundaries I enforce, and the life I rebuild. "And that's exactly what you're doing," she said. "It's inspiring, honestly." I laughed quietly. "Inspiring, huh? I feel like a man who survived an emotional war. Rebuilt, stronger, wiser. And yet, I'm cautious. I know life can turn cruelly fast, but I've learned how to stand firm, how to stay unshaken by betrayal or deceit." Sophie's voice softened. "And you're not alone. I'm here. You're not carrying it all by yourself anymore." Her words were a balm. Not a replacement, not a distraction, but a grounding force I hadn't realized I'd needed. "I know," I said, "and that's important. I've spent too long surrounded by illusions. Now I choose the real, the honest, the steady. And that includes people like you." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. My mind drifted through the months of isolation, sleepless nights, the relentless spiral of replaying their betrayal. How I had watched Jason's arrogance crumble, Emily's social veneer shatter. I had learned patience, observation, and the quiet satisfaction of justice unfolding naturally. But it wasn't revenge that defined me anymore. It was reclaiming my life. I remembered a night not long ago, alone on my balcony, watching the city lights flicker below, cigarette in hand. I whispered to myself, step by step: observation, control, patience, clarity. That mantra had carried me through despair, guiding me to this point. "You're quiet," Sophie said softly. "I'm reflecting," I said, "on the past, on growth, on what it means to truly reclaim myself. I realized revenge isn't about making them suffer. It's about making myself whole again. It's about letting go of anger, of bitterness, of being tethered to their actions." "I'm glad you see it that way," she said, "because you're strong enough to move forward, Alex. And maybe ready to let someone in again." I paused, thinking about that. Not love, not attachment, not yet. But trust, connection. Yes, I was ready for that. And Sophie represented that possibility. Not a replacement for what I lost, not a shield from pain, but a gentle reminder that life could still hold authenticity, warmth, and hope. "I'm cautiously ready," I admitted. "Cautious because I've learned the cost of misplaced trust, but ready nonetheless." She laughed softly. "Cautious is good. Wise even. Just don't close yourself off entirely." "I won't," I said. "Not anymore. I've been trapped too long by the echoes of betrayal, and I've learned to listen to my own voice first. That's where strength comes from. Not from punishing them, not from controlling outcomes, but from choosing myself." I thought about Emily's confession, the manipulation she revealed, and Jason's arrogance crumbling under the weight of consequences. Those moments could have consumed me forever, but instead, they taught me discipline, awareness, and emotional fortitude. Alex, are you happy? Sophie asked gently. I smiled faintly. I'm content, strong, in control, not free of scars, not untouched by pain, but I carry them with clarity, not chaos. That's something I never imagined I could feel after betrayal like that. And it's something you deserve, she said softly. I laughed quietly, a sound of release. Yes, I do. And now, I can focus on life, not on past shadows. I can rebuild friendships, pursue goals, appreciate small moments, and maybe trust cautiously again. That's true power. That's real revenge in a way. Complete reclamation of self without needing them to suffer further. Sophie was quiet for a moment. I'm proud of you, Alex. Proud of how you've handled everything. Her words warmed me more than I expected. Thank you, I said. I needed to hear that, and I'll remember it as I keep moving forward. I looked around the apartment at the space that was fully mine now. A place of refuge, of reflection, of rebuilding. The furniture, the books, the quiet hum of the city outside. All reminders that life continued, and I could shape it as I chose. You know, Sophie said gently, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing what matters. And you're choosing wisely. I said, eyes distant but steady. Choosing myself, my peace, my clarity. Letting go of them entirely. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in wisdom. That's the real liberation. We stayed on the call for a while longer, talking about small things, work, the city, the weather. Comforting, grounding, simple. Not heavy with betrayal. Not laden with expectation. Just human connection. I hung up eventually, sitting back in my chair, staring out at the night sky. Stars flickered faintly above, distant and constant. I smiled. This was my life now. My choices. My reclaimed freedom. No longer tethered to Emily's lies, Jason's arrogance, or the ghosts of the past. I whispered to myself. I let go. Not of strength, not of wisdom, not of vigilance, but of anger, of pain, of being controlled by what they did. I am whole. I am free. And this is mine. The quiet of the night felt profound, almost sacred. A moment to appreciate the journey from despair to empowerment, from betrayal to clarity, from being lost to being decisively, undeniably myself. And as I sat there, I realized that real revenge had already been achieved. Not by punishing them, not by watching them falter, but by walking away, whole, in control, and refusing to let their betrayal define my life ever again. I waited at the small park near my office, the crisp breeze brushing against my face. The city hummed faintly behind the trees, but here it was quieter, softer, a perfect spot to breathe without the constant reminders of betrayal or heartbreak. Sophie appeared from the sidewalk, carrying a cup of coffee, her smile warm and unhurried. Hey, she said, walking up. I didn't know you'd be here. I needed a break, I replied, my voice calm, steady. A moment to think without noise. She laughed softly. I get that. Mind if I join you? Of course not, I said. We settled onto a bench, the sunlight filtering gently through the branches. I'm glad you suggested this, Sophie said, sipping her coffee. It feels peaceful. It is, I agreed, watching the small leaves dance in the wind. I've spent months trapped in chaos. Betrayal, anger, despair, it all took over my life. But now, moments like this remind me that life moves forward, no matter how broken it seems. Sophie nodded. And you're moving forward, Alex. I can see it. You're calmer, more grounded. I admitted. It hasn't been easy. Trusting myself again, trusting that I can feel without being manipulated, that's been the hardest part. But I'm learning that being careful doesn't mean being closed off. It means being aware, being present, being strong. Awareness, she repeated. I like that. You're not just surviving, you're growing. I think that's the key, I said. I've realized revenge, pain, even sorrow, they're all part of the journey, but they don't define me. I define me, and that's what I've been building toward. Each day, each decision, each step forward, I pause, taking a breath. It's mine, completely mine. Sophie smiled softly. And that's inspiring, Alex. You've transformed what could have destroyed you into strength. I chuckled quietly. I never thought I'd say that. Months ago, I felt like I'd lost everything. Emily, Jason, my peace, even my sense of self. I thought betrayal had taken it all. But I was wrong. Betrayal didn't take me. It taught me. Pain didn't break me. It sharpened me. And now, she asked, leaning slightly closer. Now, I said slowly, I'm free. Not just free from them, but free within myself. I can feel, I can trust cautiously, and I can move forward without carrying the weight of their lies. Sophie's eyes held something. Warmth, understanding, perhaps even hope. Do you feel happy? I smiled faintly, letting the sunlight touch my face. Happiness is complicated. I've learned that life isn't about constant joy. It's about balance. Awareness, strength, connection, freedom. That's happiness now. A quiet kind, steady, without illusions. I'll take it. She laughed softly. I like that. Quiet happiness. It suits you. I looked at her, feeling an unexpected warmth. You've been part of that, Sophie. Not because you replaced anyone, not because you erased the past, but because you remind me of what's real, what's steady, what can be trusted. And that's been invaluable. Her smile deepened. I'm glad. That's all I ever wanted, to be someone steady, not someone to complicate your life. You've done more than that, I said. You've reminded me that connection is possible again. That life isn't just betrayal and loss. That the world can still hold honesty, warmth, and kindness. And that's something I'm ready to embrace. We sat in silence for a moment, watching a small group of children chasing a frisbee across the park. Their laughter echoed, simple and pure, untouched by adult worries. I felt a pang of longing for that kind of innocence, but it was softened by my awareness. I had grown. I wasn't that naive man anymore. I wasn't helpless. You're really different, Alex, Sophie said quietly. I can see it. Stronger, calmer, more aware. I am, I said. I've faced the worst of betrayal, stared at it, and stepped through it. I've let go of anger, of obsession, of needing them to suffer for my peace. And in letting go, I've reclaimed control over myself. That's what matters. That's real strength. Do you ever think about them? She asked gently. I hesitated, then nodded slowly. Sometimes. I think about what happened, what I lost, and what I gained. But I don't dwell on it. I don't let it haunt me. It's part of my story, yes, but not the end of it. The end of that story is my freedom, my clarity, my choice to live on my terms. Sophie reached over, lightly touching my arm. And that's beautiful, Alex. You're not broken. You're whole. And you're choosing wisely. I smiled, the weight of months of pain finally lifting. I'm choosing wisely. And for the first time in a long time, I feel like the author of my own life again. Every choice, every step, every breath, it's mine. Fully, completely mine. She nodded, eyes reflecting understanding and warmth. And I'm glad to be here, witnessing it, supporting it quietly. You've been more than support, I said. You've been a mirror, a reminder, and a grounding presence. Not to fix me, not to replace what I lost, but to show me that I can heal and that life can still be meaningful, even after the worst betrayals. Her laugh was soft. I'm happy to hear that. You deserve it, Alex. Truly. I leaned back, letting the breeze wash over me, eyes scanning the horizon. The city, the park, the people moving through their lives, it all felt steady, alive, and full of possibilities. For the first time in months, I felt light, unburdened, and in control. Alex, Sophie asked. Yes. Are you ready for whatever comes next? I smiled faintly, feeling the truth in my chest. Yes, I am. Because I've learned how to stand firm, how to trust cautiously, how to protect my heart without locking it away. I've learned that strength isn't about revenge or anger. It's about clarity, choice, and self-respect. And with that, I am ready for everything. Sophie smiled, warmth in her eyes, and I felt something shift. A gentle hope, a promise of something steady, authentic, and new. I whispered to myself, watching the last light of day fade over the skyline. I survived betrayal. I reclaimed my life, and I let go of what no longer serves me. The past is behind me. The future is mine, and I am strong enough to live it fully. For the first time, I truly believed it. The scars remained, reminders of lessons learned, but they didn't define me. The past was a chapter, and this was a new beginning. And in that quiet park, with Sophie beside me, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope.